I'm riding in my drop top, driving with my new love, while you're just thinking fuck love, hanging out a bench truck, looking for your new blood to paper up your new cups. I'm looking for a new fox, gave away my old one. I swear I didn't need them, didn't need no fake friends, didn't need to depend on anyone who pretend. Driving with my real one, ain't no fucking rerun. Watch as the wheels spin, wait from all your bullshit. Watch as wait, so you wanna hold me?
Hello mates, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be going over my recommendations with you for how to prepare for a tattoo session, what things to get beforehand, what to think about on the day, and some advice of what to do immediately after to make your life as comfortable as possible. These are my personal recommendations based on the things that I know really help me. This will kind of tie into my previous video on how I heal tattoos. Check that video out if you haven't already. For some of you, I'm sure this will be like me trying to teach you to suck eggs, whatever that phrase means. I mean, what the fuck is the origin of that phrase? Basically, it'll be me telling you shit that you already know, but there may be some fruit in here of things that you've maybe not thought about beforehand that can make your life much easier / better when you're getting tattooed. I also want to make it very clear, I am not a tattoo artist. What I'm saying is not coming from any kind of professional standpoint. This is just what I do and my own personal experience of getting tattoos. So if we go back and we start at the very beginning at booking the tattoo. So most tattoo artists will do bookings in one of three ways. It could be through an online booking form, through direct messaging on social media, normally Instagram, or through email. There are also some strange people who actually like to speak to other people and book over the phone or in person. When you book your appointment, you want to let the artist know what your idea is, where you want to put the tattoo, a rough idea of size. An actual measurement is normally helpful. Also a photo of the place where you want to put the tattoo so they can use this to draw over. This is especially helpful if the tattoo needs to fit in a particular gap as there's already other tattoos in that same area. And some kind of reference images that gives the artist a reasonable idea of what you're thinking. And then lastly, your availability. For example, I have every Tuesday and Friday off, but work the rest of the week. You'll then normally hear back from the artist who will let you know, 1, if they want to undertake the work, 2, if the idea is going to work how you envision it, or if you're going to need to make some changes, and number 3, some suggestions of dates that hopefully work for the both of you. Once you have a date booked in, they will then ask you to pay a non-refundable deposit to secure your booking. If you don't pay the deposit, your booking's not confirmed. This is just to protect the artist in case people no-show their appointments. It's also a good idea to check how much the tattoo is likely going to be when you're booking, so it's not a surprise on the day. Okay, so we have our tattoo booked in now. These are the things that we want to make sure we have in the lead up to the appointment. The first one is something to heal the tattoo with. Now, there are a few different methods that you can use to heal a tattoo. One way is to use something like a second skin, which is a breathable bandage that covers the tattoo, keeps it moist, protects it from bacteria getting into it, as after all, it's an open wound. Second skin will normally be changed after the first 24 hours, and then another one will be applied for a further 3 to 7 days. After this time, you can then remove it and just moisturize the tattoo until it's completely healed. If you do want to use second skin and you haven't used it before, make sure you do a patch test beforehand to make sure you're not allergic to it, as this can sometimes happen and people end up being allergic to the adhesive that's used in it and end up getting blisters, which is not something you really want around your new tattoo. So do make sure you test it out in advance of your appointment. Another way that people would typically heal their tattoos is keeping it covered with cling film for the first 24 to 48 hours after the tattoo is done, and then applying some kind of ointment to the tattoo several times a day during the healing process. This is my preferred way of healing tattoos. The ointment that I use is Butterlux. I apply this for around 5 days after the tattoo is completed, and then use Vino moisturizer for around another 3 weeks or so after this to stop the tattoo from drying out. There are some other great tattoo ointments out there though, such as Hustle Butter. If you're not sure what tattoo healing method to use, or have any other kind of tattoo related questions in general, the best person to ask is always the artist who did the work. They will know what is best for healing the tattoos that they specialise in. Another thing to think about before the session, which you should think about in conjunction with your artist, is the use of numbing cream. If you know the tattoo is going to be in a particularly uncomfortable placement, such as on your neck, your ribs, your bum, etc., it may be that you want to think about using a numbing cream. If this is the case, then please make sure you speak to your artist about it beforehand. They'll be able to tell you if it's appropriate to use numbing cream for that tattoo. If they're lining a back piece, for example, they may say to you they prefer you not use numbing cream because it creates this big greasy mess on your back that can then make it really difficult for them to try and pull clean lines on, or makes the stencil rub off. They may say to you that once the lines are in though, you can use numbing cream for the shading. There's a lot of things to consider with numbing cream, so please make sure you talk to the artist about it beforehand, and they will let you know what would be best for the tattoo, their preference of numbing cream if they do allow you to use it, and what you need to do before the session. You may have seen that recently people have had some horrific reactions to numbing cream, so I cannot stress how important it is that it not be something that you take lightly. Okay, so now we get to the day of the session. Here are the things that you want to take with you to the session. Most importantly is snacks and a sugary drink. These help to keep your blood sugar up during the session so that you don't start to feel faint. I normally take a couple of tubes of fruit pastels in with me and a 500ml bottle of Coke. Also, make sure you've had a decent meal beforehand, and if you know the session is going to be long, like if you have a full day session for example, it's worth taking a packed lunch with you. Maybe a sandwich, some crisps and a bit of fruit to help you keep going during that session. Something that's substantial without necessarily being really heavy, and definitely not anything that smells. No tattoo artist wants to be dealing with your fucking onion breath. I'd recommend having some headphones with you, especially during long sessions. Your artist and yourself may want to talk throughout the session, which is totally cool if that's what you both want. Some artists prefer not to talk though, as they find it can hinder their concentration. I know that for me, when I'm getting tattooed, I often want to just zone out during a session, so headphones can really help with this. You can listen to some music, or if you're sitting in a position where you can watch something on your phone, it can be worth downloading a few episodes of a TV show that you know is going to put you in a good place throughout the tattoo. Another thing to consider is, does the tattoo studio only accept cash, or do they take card/cash app? This is something that's really good to find out beforehand, so you can get cash out if you need to. Hopefully you found out when you booked beforehand how much the tattoo is likely to be, so you know how much cash to get out, and you can choose to tip the artist if you want to. I normally chuck my artist an extra 20 quid, but this is optional, and of course you can tip more or less if you want to. Some people also choose to bring their artists gifts if they've been tattooed by them a few times before, so this is something you can do if you want to, and you have an idea of what they might enjoy. Obviously, don't bring them anything weird. A severed rabbit head is probably not going to make for a good tattoo session, you know? Okay, so my next piece of advice is dress comfortably and appropriately for the session. Wear something that you'll be comfortable in, that gives easy access to the place where the tattoo is going to go. If you're going to get tattooed on your leg, it's a very good idea to wear shorts or to take shorts with you. Also, from personal experience, best not to wear white. I've done this before and ended up with tattoo ink all down it, so now I tend to dress in black to get tattooed. Plus, you know, I'm goth as fuck anyway. Another big one is be fucking clean. Have a shower before your session, you dirty pig. Your tattoo artist is not going to be wanting to deal with your pit odor, so please have a shower beforehand. It's fine to sweat during the tattoo. This is a perfectly normal reaction when getting tattooed, but fresh sweat and days old sweat are very different things, so make sure that you're nice and clean. Right, now this is the biggest piece of advice that I can offer you when you're going into your tattoo session, okay? Know what you want and speak clearly to your artist about what you want. The tattoo is going to be on your body after all for the rest of your life, so it's you who ultimately needs to be happy with it. Of course, listen to what the artist has to say, and if they advise you that something isn't going to work, or if you make some tweaks, the whole thing will look better, you should 100% take this into consideration. They are the professional after all. But if the artist puts the stencil on and you think, actually, this is too big, or I want the tattoo a little bit higher, you are 100% within your rights to say that. There have been times where I've gone into sessions pretty laid back and just trusted my artist to do what he does best, and this is 100% okay too, as long as you're happy with that. So decide beforehand, do you have a specific vision that you want followed through on, Or are you happy for the artist to have some free reign? Okay, now we'll move on to a couple of other pieces of advice that I have for after the session. Number one, whatever advice your artist has given you about healing your tattoos, you should do, especially if you don't have that much experience of healing tattoos. This is coming from someone who has ignored tattoo artists' advice for healing and fucked up their tattoos, so I implore you to listen to your artist and do what they say. It's better for everyone this way. Now, if you've been tattooed loads of times and you know what works best for you, then of course you can stick with what you know, but if you're not sure, stick to the artist's aftercare advice. Number two, a few hours after your session, I would highly recommend taking some ibuprofen. This will help you to shift any swelling that the tattoo has caused and should help with any physical discomfort that you may be feeling from your tattoo session. I'll then normally keep taking the ibuprofen for a couple of days after my session. And number three, lastly, I'd recommend having clean bed sheets if you're going to be sleeping with the tattoo uncovered for the first few days after getting it. You want everything that touches the tattoo to be clean in order to minimize the risk of infection. If you want some more advice on healing tattoos, as I said earlier, I'd recommend watching my How I Healed Tattoos video. I'll put a link in the description. And that is it. Those are my recommendations on how to prepare for a tattoo session. Do you disagree with anything that I've said or have different recommendations? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys found this informative and were able to follow along with all my nonsense. If you did enjoy this video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and all that other YouTube bollocks. If you like the music that you're hearing in the background, it was actually all produced by me. I have another channel where I post beats / instrumentals that I've made for singers to write songs to, so if that is something you're interested in, I'll put a link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.